I want to say a word to the Republican Party. I am absolutely sick and tired of your derelictions of duty. Shout out to the few that are at the local and state level and even at the federal level who are trying their best to do the right thing and to come against the swamp, the machine. But I want to say what many seem to be afraid to say. Okay? Shout out to anyone who's saying it, and I'm unaware that you said it. But I am sick of the dereliction of duty, the kicking the can down the road, the compromising with Marxist communists in our country. We've done it to the point that we are in sure decline. The loss of the US dollar as reserve currency, positioning China and Russia to be able to eat our lunch is a problem. And this is a result of dereliction of duty and kicking the can down the road and being too afraid to engage the left in the same way that the left engages us, trying to be this, this false humility, this false, dignity and statesmanship that we, when they go low, we go high, that type of thing. No, when they go low, it's time to go low with them. But we can outsmart and outmaneuver though. But we're so preoccupied in our self-righteousness, in our greed, and in our alliance even with the global and the domestic left and their policies that are dismantling this country. We can't even see how to even become strategic. We're so stuck in our ways. And even you can tell even with the candidates that are running and what they're talking about. Vivek Ramaswamy is the only one that is talking about solution. He's the only one that's entered this race and doesn't have overly preoccupation with tearing down his opponents. He's speaking to the actual issues. Whenever he has said anything concerning Ron DeSantis or whatever, it is very policy centered. And he's speaking about the establishment as a whole. Okay? He's not trashing Donald Trump. He's not trashing any other candidates. As he said, we as Republicans, the way that we run campaigns, it's always, we got to take our country back. We got to do. And I'm saying to myself, well, you let them take it. When are we going to take accountability for the fact that you let the Obama administration do what it did? That you sat by and strategized when Trump had both the House and the Senate in 2018 when he ran, because they're able to get his agenda through, and then about 40 Republican senators and Congress people total just left Congress. Looked like they had some sort of meeting with the Democrats, and it's like, hey, we're gonna make sure he doesn't get, he's not gonna be successful, so we're not gonna give him the majority. We're going to get out so that he doesn't get the majority, so that you guys can go ahead and run your media propaganda campaign against him, so that you guys can get into Congress in 2018 and give him a hard time, and then we'll get him out of here in 2020. To act like we the people can't see that play that you guys made, which has been very successful, and now you want to sit up here and wring your hands. You're late to the cryptocurrency party, by the way, and the dereliction of duty of the SEC, hamstringing one of the star players that could catapult this country into a whole different frontier as a leader in the new Internet of Value, Web3, blockchain technology at its best in the hands of good people. But as it stands now, it's going to be in the hands of bad actors who are in bed with the banks and the big government through the CBDCs, which in and of themselves are benign. And cryptocurrency in and of itself is benign, but in the right hands, these things could be real solutions for people globally. This blockchain could be real solutions for leveling the playing field amid countries, and we can kind of go back to a trading system kind of akin to the biblical days, in my opinion. When I say biblical days, I mean you have this country over here, you have that country over there, and we have our own currency, and we can simply trade. We don't have to have these big old global agreements and things, all that crap that spurns or uh uh what's the word what's the word triggers people's greed for power and money. Before I misinterpret it, I need to unpack or clarify what I meant when I just said that the cryptocurrency or blockchain can be an asset to individual sovereign countries. In other words, the blockchain, in the hands of the right people, in the hands of good actors, can be a tool that promotes and preserves the sovereignty of nations. Okay, in the same way, in the biblical days, Egypt was a sovereign country, Israel was a sovereign country, Assyria was a sovereign country, and so on and so forth, right? Now, of course, they got engaged in battles for a variety of reasons, but I see, again, in the hands of good actors, the blockchain can do a lot to alleviate a lot of the things that were creating greed and power. And one example of that, I mentioned the SEC's dereliction of duty and how it came after a particular company called Ripple, who is a software development company who was one of the founders of the XRP ledger, aka blockchain, and the token XRP that runs on that blockchain. They've created financial solutions for banks and payment providers to basically do cross-border payments without all of the, problems or costs, if you will, the costs that typically surrounds labor costs, time, money, fees, all of those costs for foreign exchange as well as cross-border payments, right? So you think of MoneyGram, Western Union, that's a cross-border payment provider. You think of obviously banks and even governments, right? Now, in the hands of governments, this could become a problem, particularly through the CBDCs, and I'll say that can save that for another thing. However, CBDCs in and of themselves can be benign and could be a good thing in the hands of a government that is for the people. But in the hands of globalists, people who have a global vision, it can be problematic, and that is my concern with it, and that is why I'm not a proponent of them in the hands of certain nations and in the hands of certain global influencers like the WEF and other places. But in any case, it could look like this. Say, United States, Italy. We could come into a trade agreement, right? The United States has its sovereign currency. Italy has its sovereign currency, right? But we want to come into a trade agreement. We could do these unilateral or at the most a bilateral type of trade agreement. But the beauty of the blockchain, and particularly of the this technology that the SEC has interfered with, it could be the bridge currency. So in other words, the trading between Italy and the United States, or the United States and this country or whatever, could be seamless and very cost effective, just running through the blockchain as the settlement, the XRP ledger blockchain as a settlement vehicle or framework, as opposed to what we're currently using, which is the very antiquated SWIFT network. So not only would you be saving tremendous cost using something like an XRPL ledger and the XRP token to move money across borders, you would also be saving mad time. We're talking cents in terms of cost, and we're talking seconds in terms of time. For example, Western Union, MoneyGram, and many other payment providers who move money across borders all over the world, right? There are different brands of them all over the world. Right now, they're running on the very antiquated payment provider framework, right? But if we were to move to the XRPL solution, that could be cut in seconds, okay? And it would look like this. Say, MoneyGram, Western Union, you send money to your loved ones, whereas it would take a day or several hours, it's going to take seconds. And whereas it would cost X amount of dollars in fees, it's only going to cost cents. Right now, you send $100, probably your loved one is going to walk away with $80 or $75 because the fees have been so high. So that is one use case of how the blockchain can be useful to a useful solution for banks and people, we customers. Another way that this currency or the blockchain, cryptocurrency and the blockchain can be useful to nations. Again, I mentioned about its ability to create sovereignty, but it also can begin to open up markets for smaller countries who have never been able to kind of play ball with the big players in the economies, in the world economies, like say a Haiti or a Rwanda, or other smaller countries that are not in the G8, okay, who are not invited to the World Economic Forum to talk about, financial policy and global financial policy and so on and so forth. So, when's the last time you heard about Haiti on any politician's list? So the cryptocurrency has the ability to democratize value and the movement of money in the same way that the internet democratized information. So in other words, just like we can now go to Google and get any sort of information at our fingertips, the democratization of value or money, the movement of money, is what Web3 really is. And that makes it possible for not only peer-to-peer decentralized finance, meaning if I had several $1,000s and I wanted to just start making money on my own, I could start lending my money out at interest to individuals, peer to peer, minus the banks. Now you can see why banks have a problem with cryptocurrency in certain governments, and now how the governments are trying to hurry up, especially with the creation of the BRICS coalition. The U.S. government now and many other governments around the world are trying to scurry and hurry to create what they call a CBDC so that they can start competing, because they see the cryptocurrency is not going away. We the people have spoken, and we created a market for this thing, and we are wanting this market because we are wanting government to be out of our lives. However, we know that the governments and banks together, domestically and globally, control the money supply, and they're not going to give that up easily, right? So we the people need to get educated about this and how it can be utilized to our advantage, and then begin to take back control of our voting power, and start making demands of these politicians, lifting the hood and kicking the tires of what they're telling us. And if we I ain't gonna go further than that, okay? But this cryptocurrency blockchain can not only be again useful for sovereign nations, but also, let's just say, worst case scenario, America go off the rails and everybody's talking about a national divorce because we're so divided as a country right now. If it came down to that, states could take advantage of this technology and create it, and we can go back to the federalist type situation. You feel me? We can go back to North Carolina being its own, because that's technically what we are. We're a federation of states united, but we're still our own sovereign type of entity, and we can go there and create our own. A collection of states can come together like the BRICS nations are coming together right now, because basically that's what the BRICS nations are doing. They're basically revolting against America and its domination, over markets, and they're using this very weak administration as a window of time to get this done, right? Because what was going on with the American dollar being the reserve currency in so many acts of commerce globally is that they could create these sanctions. And basically, this last round of sanctions that America tried to put on Russia, Russia was like, "F that! I'm about to utilize this cryptocurrency technology," and they got busy. It's so busy that they got a coalition of countries right now, ready to rock and roll. And they're trying to make it so strong, they're starting to, there's talks about pegging it to actual gold, going back to the old system that America abandoned so that they could participate in this global Marxist type of situation that we have going on globally here. So we cutting our nose off to spite our face in terms of trying to, appear to be this, this global nation and part of the global community. We're the only ones making all these concessions, even with this whole global warming thing and carbon footprints and stuff like that. You go over to China. I was in South Korea a year ago. Pollution like crazy. They are not. China and some of these other states are not following the rules that they're demanding Americans keep. It's madness if you really find this stuff out. It's enough to make you stressed if you don't have some good coping mechanisms, right? And again, that's why I'm just trying to put folks on to this. But the BRICS network is what you need to understand. BRICS, and who's in charge of it? Uh, China and Russia. And so, like I said, they claim, word came out this week that they were trying to, quelch any fears that they were trying to come as a threat to America. But they're already a few steps ahead of America right now in this cryptocurrency thing. So if they're really trying to get all nations on board, you think America going to enter into this coalition with them in a number one spot? I don't think so. Okay. And in a way, the U.S. reserve currency over the petrodollar being removed, in my opinion, can be a good thing if we had smart policy people. And I think someone like Vivek Ramaswamy could understand that, because then we could open up our pipelines here and we can become energy independent, right? We would need the petrodollar to be able to manipulate other countries to do what we want and to get us in all these freaking wars and all that crap. But Republicans are not reading the room. They're not dialed in. They're late to the party. They're a day late and a dollar short. They're tired through and delayed on every significant policy. Now that China and all these other countries have created BRICS, now we're ready to talk about cryptocurrency. You should have been doing regulation at least 2017. I am sick of you. I am absolutely sick of you, Republicans. You make me absolutely sick. And these fools going to get on the stage this week and talk about Trump all night. Vivek Ramaswamy is the only one that has some daggone solutions.